video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi was written by Anthony Oksenholt and was published by Oksenholt Biloxi Publishing, LLC. A link to the book will be placed in the description below.
Yeah, this a revolution in our time. Everybody's fighting, change coming, yes. That's why it's an acronym for riot. Everybody has a voice. Don't you dare stay silent. If you say nothing, you are an accessory to violence.
They've had their say. Seems like they've had that kind of say around here for too long. Look, I had to stand up for myself alone. I went in there to remind them that somewhere in this world there's still a little order left. To let them know in the only kind of terms that their kind understand is that they can't bribe or threaten their way out of what they did. To let them do this to me and get away with it, and you give them the eternal right to do the same damn thing to any one of you.
Joe, Anthony Oksenholt, Access 228. This is going to be a very, very long video. Be advised. Probably an hour, could be longer, it could be a little shorter, I don't know. Just be forewarned. But everything I'm going to say is very important. And is going to shed light in an area that's only marginally known by the general public. That subject matter is called use of force. Now, I tried to do this video last night, but I didn't like the way it looked. It just, it bothered me. I don't know if this is going to be any better, but hey, laptop in a semi, I'm sorry. Going to have my AC going because it's hotter than hell. I finally made it back down south. Thank God. I'm somewhat in the South anyway. I'm in Alabama. Almost to God's country. But let's dive into it. All right, so here's my qualifications on my knowledge of use of force. I'm a former correctional officer. Sure, y'all have heard me say that. I started out with the Florida Department of Corrections. I've worked in Mississippi. I've worked in Louisiana. And I've worked in the state of Ohio. And different states have different training. Mississippi, unfortunately, really didn't have much training, but it is what it is. Louisiana didn't have a whole lot of training either. As a matter of fact, some of the subject matter that I'm going to talk about, the Graham factors, the Graham standard, and what Connor B. Graham is, we'll get into that later, they didn't even teach. And yes, I know I'm talking corrections, and some of y'all went, well, what do you know about working on the street? Use of force is use of force. The difference between in the prison, which is where I did most of my time working for state prisons, versus on the street is the bar in prisons is a lot lower than it is on the street. And that's the truth. In prison, inmates have a very truncated amount of rights versus a civilian on the street. not having been convicted of the crime that is alleged at this moment when the officer is dealing with him. He's not inside of a prison. He's free. He's a free world person. So, case in point, in corrections. Speaking for Florida, if I give an inmate an order to cuff up and he refuses to cuff up, at that point, I could deploy OC spray or, go hands on to a degree. I'm not saying I can hold his eye open and empty the fucking can in his face. No, that's brutality. But certain departments want you to use certain things. In Florida, they prefer us to use chemical agents versus going hands-on because it's a little safer for the inmate. The key is not to hurt somebody. Now, I've certainly had my share of uses of force. I think the term that was actually used in one of our academy classes or training classes was violence professional. And I am a violence professional. I have been professionally trained to use violence in a professional setting. Does that mean I'm going to look for it? No. But I'm ready for it. I know how to use a lawful amount of violence to achieve compliance. And I know what an unlawful amount of violence is in regards to the same thing. We're going to discuss all of this. Like I said, this is going to be a long video, so hope y'all enjoy. A lot of this is off the top of my head too, because violence professional. I've had this stuff beat into my head for years. You have to. So, in addition to my correctional activities, I also know the law. I'm not a lawyer. I guarantee you I could probably pass the bar exam in Mississippi with no problems. If they'd ever let me take it. I will confidently say that. With zero questions in my mind about my abilities on this. But that's another topic for another video. I've also been in a position to where I was able to use force in the private sector, armed security. I've also done bail enforcement, done bail bonds. Yes, your boy has done a little bit of things. Personally, I did not care for the armed security role. I kind of just, yeah. I'll do a whole nother thing on private security. Much later whenever I get around to it, if I feel like getting into that can of worms. But going back to use of force. Connor v. Graham, which was a 1989 Supreme Court case. Or excuse me, Graham v. Connor. 1989 Supreme Court case. Set the modern standard for use of force. And there are factors. I'm going to read this. The factors are the severity of the crime, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat, and whether the suspect is actively resisting or attempting to evade arrest. Those are the Graham factors. And one more element here, one more caveat. The determination must be looked at by what a reasonable officer of similar training with the same information would do at the time without the benefit of hindsight. That's the important thing. So a little bit of objectionable reasonableness is going to be put in here. So in other words, if I see a guy coming out of a store, if I'm a police officer, and I'm not, never have been, wouldn't want to be a street cop, but let's assume that I'm a street cop. And I roll up to the Circle K. I'm going in there to go get my coffee or whatever. And I see somebody with a toy gun robbing the store. And he comes out. I draw my weapon. Drop the weapon. Drop the weapon. Boom, boom, boom. Okay? Give him 2 shots. I kill him. Only to find out that that was a little plastic airsoft pistol that he bought from Walmart that just looked like a Beretta 92 that he paid like $15 for at Walmart. Hindsight would be, well, it was a toy pistol. I probably could have just took it from him. Information on the scene is, oh shit, this guy's got a firearm. He's got it drawn on people. He's willing to use it. My life's in danger. Civilians' life's in danger. Hey, react. Drop the weapon. That's the standard. That is the standard. The standard would also go to, let's say somebody is standing on the steps of City Hall in Waveland, Mississippi, with a sign that says, God bless our homeless vets, homage to Jeff Gray. And we also, everybody who's seen this video has probably seen the officer, or seen the video of Sergeant Juprion, Sergeant Disgrace, I called him. But let's take it let's play the what if game. Jeff Gray refuses outright to leave and refuses to provide his ID, and Juprion Disgrace, whatever the fuck his name is, we're just gonna call him Sergeant Disgrace, draws his taser and deploys taser darts into him because he's non-compliant. Again, this did not happen. We're playing the hypothetical here. You don't need 2020 hindsight to know that that was probably not a justified use of force. Somebody's open carrying, standing in their front yard, and the police show up because Karen, the neighbor, called and said, "Oh my God, he's got a gun! I'm scared. I don't realize this is Mississippi where it's legal to carry a gun. I'm from California." It can happen. We got a lot of people ain't from the coast moving in that don't know what we can do down here. And we got a lot of tourists. But anyway, guy's just sitting on his front porch. He's, just got his pistol on his hip because he just always walks around with it. And we from Mississippi know it's perfectly legal with or without a permit. You can open carry or conceal carry as long as you're not a prohibited person. I may do a video on what a prohibited person is at some point, but I'm getting into that later. Hell, I might do that today. Anyway. So, oh my God, I'm so scared. 911, he's got a gun. Now we have a cop that shows up, and guy's perfectly legal. He's in his own yard. He's not threatening anybody. He didn't reach for it. He's, hey man, I'm good. What's your problem? My ID's in my pocket. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. He's in his own yard. He doesn't have to carry his ID. The officer shoots him because of a perceived threat. Is that legal? I had a gun on his hip now. Is it legal? Nope. Did he go for it? We're going to assume that he did. We're going to assume that he was, hey, don't go for your weapon. Keep your hands, on top of your head, or hey, just put your hands on top of your head. Let me take your weapon. Maybe they have the right to do it. Maybe they don't. What are you doing, man? Not just, oh my God, he's got a weapon. Bang, bang, bang. Justified. That officer's going to prison. Period. And the department's going to probably catch a wrongful death lawsuit. It's going to go very bad. Yeah. That's going to be a shit show. So we have all these factors that we have to take into account of when they could use force. And the last couple of scenarios I'm talking about involved, or the last scenario I'm talking about involved deadly force. That is the final, absolute, last resort is lethal force. You can't unring that bell. You can't unshoot that bullet. I'm going to get a little bit graphic here. There's a few things you just can't ever undo. You can't unfuck the maid. You can't unsuck a dick. And you can't unshoot a gun. Just laying it out. Said, once you go boom, that bullet does not come back on command. Hey, wait a minute. Oh, come on back to my gun. Get back in my magazine. I didn't mean to shoot you. You can't do that. Once it comes out, I promise you, whatever type of ammunition you're using, what type of weapon you're using, that bullet's going to come out at such a high rate of speed that there is no way that you can't just catch it in midair and put it in your pocket. I promise you. This is why deadly force, and deadly force does not mean death. You don't have to kill somebody for it to be a deadly force encounter. An eye gouge is a deadly force encounter. Ripping somebody's ear, choking somebody, a choke hold, anything that can cause permanent disfigurement or death is deadly force. Kicking or kneeing somebody in the groin is considered deadly force. Because obviously, come on now, guys, we got balls. You can rupture something down there. So police officers have to be careful the type of force they use. Most use of force policies that I've seen will tell a cop when to use force. Some places, like Florida, and I'm probably going to reference Florida a lot in this. Florida, in Florida Statute 776, actually tells when you can use force and how you can use force. Some states have it, some states don't. Mississippi, as far as I've seen, does not have it, not as detailed as Florida anyway. But that's where the gram factors come in. All right, now we got the gram factors that we talked about. I'm going to give y'all 4 words to remember: jeopardy, opportunity, ability, and preclusion. These words matter here. These words mean a lot in a use of force. Let's use the incident where the cop rolls up to the Circle K and sees the guy robbing it with a toy pistol. Is the officer in jeopardy? And we're going to use the gram factors in with these words. And this is how we're going to come up with whether the use of force was justified or not. Was there any jeopardy to the officer's safety or to the safety of the general public? The guy had a toy pistol. The cop was unaware that it was a toy pistol. He saw that all he saw was pistol. I would say that yes, the officer was clearly in jeopardy. Did the guy have the ability to hurt the officer? Or did the guy have the opportunity to hurt the officer or the general public? From the officer's perspective, I would say yes. Again, he didn't see toy pistol. He saw pistol because that's exactly at a distance. And you remember, you got about a fraction of a split second to make that decision. I mean, it's quick or you're dead. The opportunity? Did the person have the opportunity to hurt anybody? From the officer's perspective, absolutely. He had a pistol. He was pointing it at a civilian. Ability and opportunity tend to go hand in hand there. I really don't know why they're not one factor, but if you have ability, you probably have an opportunity. If you don't have an opportunity, you don't have an ability. But I digress. Preclusion. What is preclusion? This is the important. This is probably the most important factor of a use of force, and a lot of cops forget it, and it gets a lot of cops in trouble. Is what did you do to try to prevent using force? What did you do? I drew my weapon. I loudly announced, or I'm in uniform clearly. My squad car is here clearly. Obviously, there's a police officer, so that's command presence. I drew my weapon as a warning. That's your warning. We don't give warning shots here. Drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. He refused to drop it. I discharged 2 rounds into his torso. Force ceased when the suspect ceased. Effectively. That's your preclusion. And sometimes that's all it takes. Drop the weapon, drop the weapon. Loud verbal commands. That's preclusion. That could satisfy, and I'm going to explain why. If a cop is pointing a weapon at you, you got a weapon in your hand, and he's got it pointed at you, he's trained on you, and he's yelling, drop the weapon, most people are going to be like, fuck, I don't want to die, man. Hopefully. Some people just want to find out, and the cop has to allow them to find out. Some of them just want to commit suicide by cop, and I've seen that too. Now that we've got the elements, let's talk about the continuum. Not every department uses this continuum that I am going to talk about, but it is the one that I am most familiar with. I'm going to break it down for you. It's called the 1+1 use of force continuum. And what that means is the officer can use one level of force above the level of resistance. This is the level of resistance here. This is the level of force. When force meets force, it can go up. See how that's going? If it goes way up, now we can go all the way up. That's 1+1 use of force continuum. Example. Guy's sitting in his car. Cop walks up to him and, how you doing, sir? I'm Officer such and such with so-and-so police department. Can I get your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance? And the guy's sitting there and he's like, fuck you. I'm not giving you a motherfucking thing, you piece of shit. But yet he's going for his wallet. He's going for his insurance. Fuck you, you motherfucker. Here, take my goddamn shit, you piece of shit. You fucking pig. Fuck you. What level of force can the cop use at this point? If you said no force, you're 100% correct. If you said pull him out of the car and beat the shit out of him, I hope you're not a cop. Matter of fact, if that's what you said, and you are a cop, go turn in your badge, go take your papers. I hear Walmart's looking for greeters. You can go sit there and hound people about receipts, as far as I'm concerned, as they're walking out of Walmart from the self-checkout. Anyway, so no force is used here. None. We're at the minimum. Is the officer on alert that this guy might be a problem? Yeah, probably, hopefully. And this guy might be a problem. He might just be an asshole. Again, before I go further into the 1+1, I want to talk about perception for a minute because this applies. I'm an over-the-road truck driver. Y'all see I'm sitting in the sleeper of my semi here. That's where I'm doing this video from. I have been to 48 of the 50 states. The only two states I have never been to is Alaska and Hawaii. The only state that I have been to that I have not been to more than once is Maine. Not a lot of people are as well traveled as I am, and I get that. It's unfortunate. Y'all should come out here and see the country. It's actually an experience. I've either done law enforcement, bail bonds, security, or transportation my whole adult life. I've done other things too. Sometimes I've done law enforcement and transportation at the same time. Sometimes I've done bail enforcement and transportation at the same time. It'd be like that sometimes. That being said, I'm pretty well traveled around this country. I've been a lot of places. I've seen a lot of places. I've dealt with a lot of different people that a boy from Mississippi probably under other circumstances wouldn't have. Those of y'all who are in the military, you know what I'm saying about dealing with people from different areas. Those of y'all who are traveling nurses, truck drivers like me, any job that takes you out of your home element and puts you somewhere else around a different culture of people, even if they're from your own country, you learn a lot. And I want to talk about the absolute rudest fucking people I have ever seen in my life. They all seem to come from Jersey. I think as a whole, now, I have friends in Jersey. Not everybody in Jersey is an asshole. One of the guys I watch on social media, Badge 502, he's in Jersey. Seems like a nice guy. There's a corrections professional. I think he's a warden in Jersey. Anthony Ganji, great guy. So not everybody in Jersey is an asshole. But as a whole, the rudest people I have ever dealt with always seem to come from Jersey. I don't know. Maybe if I lived in Jersey, I'd probably be more of an asshole too, because that place sucks, in my opinion. It's like high taxes and gridlock and smog all rolled into one. But they just have an attitude. And maybe my perception is they're an asshole. Their perception is that's just how they are. That's how they talk to each other. You get a couple of guys from Jersey and they're cussing up a storm at each other and they're best of friends. That's just how they talk. Brandon, hey, you know what? Get me around some of my friends, you'd swear up down we fixing to fight. But their demeanor and their body language and their attitude just is something, and that's their culture. That's just how they are. They don't mean any harm behind it, I don't think. Most of them, they're not doing it maliciously, but they just have a naturally boastful, perceivably hostile demeanor. So you get a guy from Jersey, and he's down in Biloxi and he's on vacation. You know, or either, hey, we got casinos, Jersey does too. The guy comes from Atlantic City, and he moves down and he takes a job as a pit boss or floor man or whatever, shift boss, whatever, at a casino in Biloxi. He just transferred down from Jersey. And he's been south about 2.5 minutes. And he gets pulled over by Officer Smith of the Biloxi Police Department. Officer Smith has never been anywhere in his life outside of South Mississippi, Southeast Louisiana, and South Alabama. And maybe he went to Orlando on vacation as a kid to Disney World. Other than that, he ain't really gone nowhere. He's just been stuck down on the coast. And he runs up with this guy and he's like, hey, man, I'm Officer Smith, Biloxi Police Department. Let me get your driver's license, your insurance, registration, and no, I pulled you. Man, what the fuck you pulled me over for? Man, fuck. This motherfucker, I can't believe this motherfucker that pulled me over. Man, fuck. What, here's my, man, here's my fucking shit, man. Here, take it. The motherfucker, take it. Jersey guy sees nothing wrong with this. The cop perceives this as a hostile act. Man, this guy's got an attitude, bro. What the fuck, dude? All I did was pull him over because his tag light or his tail lights weren't working, and I was just gonna let him know, hey man, your tail light's not working. You might want to get that fixed. It's no big deal. Everything seems to be good on the vehicle. I'm not trying to What's this guy's problem, basically? So Officer Smith pulls him out of the car. Pennsylvania B. Mims, he can do that because he might perceive this guy as a threat. Checks him for weapons, which he can do. All right, man. Calm down for a minute. Man, fuck you. What the fuck, dude? I'm in a hurry, man. I'm late for work. It's my goddamn first day on the fucking job, man. Goddamn, I'm trying to go work here at the fucking Beau Rivage, dude. I just got a job paying fucking $120,000 a year, and you want to be a dick. What the fuck, man? I'm in a hurry. Make this shit quick. Again, Jersey guy sees nothing wrong with this. That's just how they are. Not saying everybody up there is like that, but I'm using this as an example. Starts throwing his hands around, acting aggressive, gets force used on him. So anyway, Jersey guy's throwing his hands around. He's acting like he's incensed. And force gets used on him. Was the cop justified? When I say force, I'm talking hands-on, empty-handed techniques takes him to the ground. Possible. Who's at fault? Well, I mean, we really can't determine that. The guy in Jersey's just acting the way he always was. The cop perceived a threat because of it. Perception is everything. So back to the 1+1 continuum. Break down the traffic stop between cop and Jersey guy. Cop walks up, nice professional, body cam activated, lights going on the squad car. He's pulled him over right there on Highway 90 in a little parking bay for the beach. He walks up, guy's showing his ass, but he's compliant. He gives his driver's license, but he's still, man, what the fuck you pulling me over for? All right, cool, whatever. Officer says, "Excuse me, sir. Can I ask you to step out just for my safety and yours?" PA versus Mims says he can do that. Guy gets out. What the fuck do you want? We're kind of getting there. We're not at the force level yet, but we're getting there. Can you calm down, sir? Man, what the fuck do you want? Officer catches his hand. Now, what force we at now? When officer catches his hand midair, thinking he's going to get hit, even though the guy's just like, man, the fuck, dude? What? Man, what the fuck? Not trying to, close fist, take a switch, but just frustration, right? Y'all been there. But the cop doesn't know that. The cop thinks that, hey, this guy's fixing to hit me, not knowing this guy's just all about, man, look, dude, so I was over here and then I was over here, talking with his hands. Some people do that. I do it sometimes too. Officer catches his hand and guy yank, motherfucker, keep your goddamn hands off me. Now we're at force. Pulled away. So at this point, the officer's like, turn around, I'm placing you in handcuffs. Man, fuck you, no, you're not. See how we're escalating it here? So the officer uses an arm bar on him. The guy tries to pull away. Now we're at an active resisting. Officer uses a hammerlock transporter and torques that wrist up behind his back as much as he could. And I'll tell you, I put you in a damn hammerlock transporter. I guarantee you I will make you get down on your knees and bark like a dog if I tell you to. Guaranteed. Or the bones in your wrist are gonna be screaming. And it's not an excessive use of force. That is a pain compliance technique. Used only to gain control over an uncooperative person. Puts them in handcuffs, puts them in the back of the car. Other officers show up, blah, blah, blah. Once the handcuffs go on, and this is the important thing that I have seen a lot of fucking videos with use of force with cops, and this is going to nail your dumbasses to a tree every time. Once the cuffs go on, force is over. Unless while in handcuffs, the person tries to snatch away, headbutt, foot stomp, shin scrape, spit. Now the force can continue. But if none of that happens, once the handcuffs goes on, it's over with. When compliance is gained, all force must cease. Period. There's no but what. When compliance is gained and the resistance is over, all force must cease. If y'all watch the video of my friend in Gulfport getting slammed to the ground by the Gulfport Police Department, when they got her in handcuffs, keep watching. What did they do? They slammed her up against the front of the squad car while she was in handcuffs and not still resisting. This is after they, in my opinion, they were already excessive. Matter of fact, the force was completely illegal, and I'm still going after those 3 officers hard, by the way. I want their badges. I want their certification yanked. And unfortunately, it's too late to charge them criminally, but I would love to find some kind of way to where I could have them charged criminally. But I digress. Any gratuitous use of force, or if anybody's seen The Longest Yard, any incidental punishment after the ball has been blown dead, the extra slam, the extra knee strike, the extra punch, the extra whatever, anything, you're done. That is gratuitous use of force. We are supposed to be, again, I'll say it again, violence professionals. A violence professional knows when to say, okay, it's over. I got compliance. I achieved I achieved my goal. I got compliance. We have no more problems here. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're in handcuffs. You're not fighting me anymore. I'm taking you to jail. We're done. There's no chugging. There's no incidental gratuitous punishment. There's no punitive measures here. It's done. It's over. And if it's not over, now it's on you. Now you are 100, whether you were 100% right, now you're 100% wrong and you're done. You just became the criminal. That's the 1+1 The minimum amount of force that any police officer can use against anybody, absolute minimum, is their presence. I'm going to prove this. You're driving down the street, speed limit's 45, you're doing about 60. I'm not going to lie, I do 60 in a 45. You see a cop sitting on the side over here running radar. Maybe he's not running radar. Hell, he might just be taking a nap. But he's there. And you clearly see a marked patrol unit. What are you going to do? You're going to slow your ass down, right? More than likely. You don't want that ticket. You don't want to pay it. You don't want your insurance to go up. You don't want that smoke, right? So now that we've established command presence is the minimum amount of force that an officer uses, and it's not considered a use of force. Just their presence, their command presence, the uniform, the squad car, the equipment, the load-bearing vest if they have it. Personally, I think load-bearing vests are pretty intimidating. Not saying I'm intimidated by a cop, but to your average person, it's pretty intimidating looking because you look like you're ready to go to war. Everything is on you, and you can clearly see everything on you. That's your command presence, your demeanor. I may not look it now with the long hair and the long beard, but I got pretty good command presence too. In uniform, yeah. Anyway, so with the command presence, usually that's enough of a deterrent to where an officer doesn't have to use force. If they do, they have to follow the policies. Now, I'm in the process of getting use of force policies from every jurisdiction on the coast, and I hope to have at least some of them over the next several months. Unfortunately, I don't spend a lot of time at home by virtue of my job, but I am working on getting this. This is the portion to where I would like to segue into something that really bothers the shit out of me. I'm going to get somewhat political here, but I'm going to try not to get too political. This is for the people who don't look like me. And let's be honest. Driving while black is a thing. And if you don't believe driving while black is a thing, try it sometime. In the state of Mississippi, in Gulfport, under the full protection of the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Eighth Amendment, this was allowed to happen. I'm going to go and delve into what happened to my friend. Not going to name her. If you know, you know. My friend was pulled over leap year 2024, leap year day. In Gulfport. She's pulled over for a headlight. The officer pulled her over. Officer Talvin Robinson, Gulfport PD. Yes, I'm coming after you. I want your job. I would love nothing more than to see you in prison for this, because it is my full belief that you got away with a felony here. He pulled over my friend, and she was, to quote Officer Talvin Robinson, coming from a known drug area. She lives in there. She owns a house back there. But whatever. Pulled her over. Her headlight was out. Got her license, got her information, was back in the car, wrote her a warning for the headlight, brought it back. This should have been over. At this point, the stop should have been over. Rodriguez v. United States should have been over. Oh shit, Redneck does know the law. Then he asked if he could search the car. Well, no, he asked if he could search the car and then wrote her the warning. Came back with the warning and then ordered her to step out of the vehicle, thus extending the stop. K9 was called. They were there. The stop was extended. It was proven in court that he slow wrote the ticket. She was like, why? She turned around, went back into the vehicle. Yes, she did have a paring knife that she carried on her for self-defense. Not sure exactly why she was carrying a paring knife for self-defense, but that's her right to. Personally, if I was going to carry a knife for self-defense, it would be something a little bit more dangerous than that. I carry guns, though. I don't carry knives. This is where we're going to get into another element of the jeopardy, opportunity, ability preclusion, and this is called officer created jeopardy. That's what I'm going to talk about on this one. So, anyway, he's worried about this knife, yet he closes the distance. Conventional wisdom states that the best defense against a knife is space. My training is with a firearm. I have a loaded 9mm on my hip. It's combat, and I always keep mine combat loaded. You have a knife. I'm afraid of your knife. I'm genuinely afraid that you're going to stab me, cut me, whatever. Conventional wisdom says that I'm going to disengage, draw my weapon, drop the knife. That's conventional wisdom. What did Mr. I'm afraid of the knife do? He snatched her. Now, if I've got a knife in my hand, which she did not, but let's assume that she did, she's got that knife and she really means to cut somebody, and the officer grabs her, what's the chances of him getting cut when he slings her around? Probably pretty high. That tells me that he had no fear of that knife. That's what it says to me. His body language speaks volumes. Again, conventional wisdom is I'm afraid of the knife, I'm going to back up. I promise you, with a 9mm, I can hit you at a whole lot farther distance than you can hurt me with that knife. I promise you, physics don't lie. You can throw a knife You might be able to get, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 miles an hour out of it. I'm throwing hot lead at you at about 1,100 feet per second. Who do you think's going to get hurt? It sure ain't going to be me. Unless you're that guy from that 1960s movie, The Magnificent Seven, that can draw a knife and nail you before you get your gun out. You're not, no, you're not that good with a knife, more than likely. A 5'3", 115-pound black female is not going to be very treacherous to a taller, more built male that's about 6'1" and I don't know, about 180 pounds. Obviously, he can overpower her. But if she's got that knife, she can still possibly cut him or cut herself, which would fall on him. Anyway, slams her to the ground, tases her, gives her the gratuitous use of force I mentioned earlier. Completely wrong. Now, here's what the state, and this is state specific, this is the state of Mississippi. Did you know in the state of Mississippi that you have the right to resist an unlawful arrest? Well, I'm here to tell you that you 100% do have the right to resist an unlawful arrest. It is unlawful to resist a lawful arrest. It is not unlawful to resist an unlawful arrest. I'm not the only one saying this here. When I went to court with her, when she finally got her trial date because she appealed it to county court a couple of weeks ago, this sentiment was echoed not only by her attorney, Alvin Chase, but it was also parroted by the judge, Robin Midcalf. So there is legitimate case law in Mississippi on your right to resist an unlawful arrest. Am I saying do that? No. You're probably going to get hurt. And you can't unfire a bullet. But if a cop goes to rough you up and it's unjustified, that's an unlawful arrest, in my opinion. I'm sure constitutional scholars who know anything about the Fourth Amendment would agree. You got to figure out what you got to do. I'm not saying I agree with it as far as I'm not saying that I agree that you're wrong for resisting an unlawful arrest. I'm actually saying that I agree with your right to resist an unlawful arrest. But I'm also saying it's probably not going to be a good time for you. I hope this video on use of force and my little tangents on the side kind of shed light. If you're still watching, thank you. I am actively seeking cases of excessive uses of force by officers on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I want the body cam footage. I want the arrest reports. I want the incident reports, use of force reports. And I want the disposition of the cases. I want to, now, if you had force used against you and it was justified, I'm going to look at it objectively and I'm going to tell you, you kind of had that one coming, or, ooh, nope, that was wrong, that was fucked up. We need to do something about it. If you slap a cop in the face and he bulldogs you to the ground, you kind of had that one coming. If you pulled a weapon on a cop and you get shot, you kind of had that one coming. I will say that all day. If you try to resist a lawful arrest and you get redirected to the ground and you get hurt in the scuffle on the ground, I'm going to tell you, you probably had that one coming. I'm not going to pull punches. This is not a hate law enforcement channel. This is just what it is. But if you legitimately know that you did nothing wrong, and you want me to look at the body cam footage and the reports, I will be glad to do it. And if there is something there, I will run with it. If you need help obtaining any of this, I will help you. I will help you file whatever needs to be filed, whatever FOIAs need to be filed. If you don't have a computer and I know Gulfport PD gives body cam footage on a CD. Guess what? I got you covered. I got you covered. So let's hold our law enforcement accountable and make sure they follow the law. Y'all have a good day. Be safe. Anthony Oksenholt, Access 228. You give me a call at 228-337-2099. I'll be glad to help any way I can.